Okay, so I have hooked up my new microphone. This is Ozzy, day one. I think what I'm going to show you is the beginning. I'm just going to show you how he's moving and try to talk about it. This is the first time I've used the sound. So if the sound doesn't come through, at least we're getting his first day on video. So my plan is to just show you 10 minutes on each direction as the starting point. So because my arena is still a bit muddy, I have this one little space, I'm putting him on a small circle because the smaller the circle, the more he has to step underneath with his hind legs. So the size of the circle is encouraging engagement. And then what I'm doing with the long reins is keeping the back and the pelvis level on the circle. That's the first thing the long reins are going to do. So I'm going to try to equalize the use of the hind legs, stabilize the pelvis, stabilize the back. So watching his head and neck can be a bit confusing. This exercise is going to work back to front. But I'm just trying to help him keep his back and the top of the hindquarters. So if you watch the pelvis above the tail as it comes by the camera, you'll see that it has less side-to-side rocking as we go. But this is our starting point. I did a little bit with him when we tried him out. That was his first time on the long reins, so he's really pretty chill to come into this exercise. Really his second day ever on the long reins. He's doing amazing. And so I wanted you to see his choice of speed, his choice of how he uses the neck as the circle gets him to step under and the long reins help him stay level through the back and the hindquarter. And like I said, I'm just going to show you the starting point, and each time I do these videos, you'll see him starting off at a different place, hopefully, because I don't want to make these videos too long. I think 20 minutes is kind of maximum. But in 10 minutes, you'll see him when he starts to feel more stable in his back and hindquarter. He'll slow down, he'll lengthen his neck, he may fall into long and low. And this is just a gentle way, especially with my bad footing and him just moving here yesterday. It's a gentle way to kind of test out those hocks and start to help tighten up that loose left stifle. And then I figure a little 20-minute video maybe every couple of days just to show you or document his progress, whether I'm doing groundwork or riding. So there, as he slows down the speed a little bit, he's starting to feel more stable. And each time he passes the camera, if you look at either side of the tail, up on the pointy bit of his hindquarter where he has that hunter's bump, or from the tail head to the withers, kind of down his back, you'll see as we go the progression of less rocking side to side and more levelness, like without one side being higher than the other, lower than the other, or even like swishing side to side or rolling side to side. All of that side to side movement is the instability of the back and the hindquarter. Right? When he starts to, like, he's going to do a lot of different things with his neck, even maybe be bent to the outside now and again, trying to find his stability on his front end, which is what he's used to. So the long reins in this exercise literally work back to front. So you have to kind of ignore whatever he chooses to do with the neck. I'm also not going to influence the speed. He can go as fast or as slow as he likes because that's part of him figuring out his engagement, his levelness, and stability. Right? So the pulling, the neck use, all of that is just him falling forward. Right? There, as he starts to slow down and take a little bit more purposeful step with those hind legs, that's him trying to find his stability through his hindquarters. But with the hock arthritis, with the loose stifle, with the sort of lack of muscling around the hindquarter, all of that is just his habit or his pattern has been moving more on the front end, very left-handed. His skeleton and his body weight likes to fall left, and he's tight on the right side. So going left is a little bit more his comfortable direction. That's why I'm starting with it. And then when I go to the right, you'll see kind of the lack of function or the stiffness on the right hind. So I think the loose stifle, like when he did his flexion test with the vet for the pre-purchase, the flexion test, he was grade 3 on the left hind, grade 1 on the right hind, even though he was just had his hocks injected a month ago. He's not lame for work, it was just on the flexion test. But what that was telling us is, because the vet said that the hock arthritis was pretty equal left to right. Like his left hock arthritis wasn't any worse than his right hock arthritis, but he had a higher grade of lameness on the left with flexion compared to the right. And then the vet noticed the left stifle was loose, that's why we x-rayed that, and there's no arthritis in the stifle, but I think the chronic left-handedness, overusing the left hind, underusing the right hind, is just starting to take its toll on the left stifle. So I think the grade 3 on the left hind was likely more stifle pain than it was hock pain, because the hock arthritis is pretty equal between both hind legs. So since he likes to overuse the left hind, so that's about 5 minutes, I'm starting in what he feels is his easier direction, right? That blow that he just gave and the full lengthening of his neck with his nose on the ground is the beginning of him starting to feel more stable through the hindquarters with a little bit more engagement than he would give me, say, on the lunge line. So as you kind of check in with looking across the back, across the top of the hindquarters, you'll see as he slows down and really lengthens his neck, that's when you're going to see less of the side-to-side rocking across the top of the pelvis and the back. And that is a work in progress. So it's not going to become instantly stable. I'm just feeling when he's falling left and I'm helping the hindquarters step under him so he doesn't just fall through the left shoulder. So that's why the neck might be bent to the outside sometimes, because his habit is to really, if he's engaged, he's overusing the left hind, and if he disengages or falls forward a little, he's overloading the left front. So that's what we're changing, and he's kind of feeling it. He's going to hike up his legs, he's going to pull, but you can see, even though this is brand new to him, he's such a calm, safe horse. Like, he just takes the newness and the guidance in stride, and not all horses find instant relief from the changes in the coordination that I'm asking for, but he does. So that's what makes him safe for you to ride and learn the process of changing the balance, is because every step in the right direction, when he changes, it doesn't scare him, it doesn't create a pain issue, he doesn't really resist it at all, he's just not very good at it. So he can be a little heavy, but he's, you can see he gets quieter, he gets calmer, he likes the change, he likes the support. So theoretically, all horses feel better when we improve the mechanics, but that process can create some discomfort, some disorientation, and so not all horses can change very quickly or have a very positive reaction to the changes. Even if the changes are good, the individual can react all different kinds of ways, and you don't know until you try. So that's about 10 minutes to the left. I'm just going to change direction, and we'll do 10 minutes to the right. And this just kind of gives us a baseline of his first day of real work. And then I think what I'm going to do is the 20-minute video that I do for you, I'm going to do at the beginning of each session. So what you'll start to see is the warm-up starts to look better as he gains the coordination and gains the stability. And always by the end of the session, he's going to be making his changes and doing better. So on this direction, you can see he instantly slows down quite a bit more than when he's tracking the other way. He's a little bit wigglier. The tail, he's just kind of feeling the work of the hind legs. And you can see with the right hind leg, it doesn't want to quite reach as far. It's not as smooth. It's a little stiffer. And when I rode him, he also feels like he doesn't turn to the right as easily as he turns to the left. Right? So I'm just going to give him 10 minutes this way. And then that's all we're going to kind of document for today. But I'm going to work him a full hour. And so then I might give it a day or two before I do another video and just stick with this exercise the first few days, see if he can find the relief, find a little more stability, and I'll start riding him after that. But I'm going to give him some time because, with that arthritis, with him jumping a little hollow, with his kind of, weakened hindquarter because he really hasn't worked for a while, I'm going to let him settle in to being here and changing the way he's working by probably spending the first week on the long reins, just at the walk, just kind of letting him see what he does as I ask for more engagement, ask those hocks to work, and try to get him more level on this tight of a circle. And he's already showing some sweat around the flank. It's a little harder for him than it might appear because every stride I'm supporting a change in the amount of engagement and equalizing the use of both hind legs. So I really hope the microphone worked for this. If it didn't, I'll still post the video so you can just sort of see what he looks like. But the thing that makes him safe for you and gives you a bigger margin of error is you can see, even though he's physically struggling to make these changes that I'm asking him to make, he gets calmer. His ears are sort of showing he's very internally focused. He's really thinking about what I'm asking him to do. And the sort of calm energy is telling me he accepts it and maybe even will find some relief. So this is definitely his harder direction. And if he blows, if he starts to lick and chew, if he really slows down, then what you're going to see is the mechanical weakness of the right hind leg, like there, that he's usually masking. It's always been there. It's been there a long time. But horses are masters at masking deviant movement. So until you tuck into the balance, you can't see the weakness. And his lameness is the opposite hind leg, but the root cause of that increased lameness during the flexion test on the left hind is the underuse of the right hind. So going to the right, he struggles a lot more, he fusses a lot more, because he hasn't been using the right hind leg as much as he's been using the left hind leg. But as we restore the function, this will be the more important direction for him to get good at. Because the more we restore the function of the right hind leg, the more pressure, weight, concussion, shear, forces that we take off the left hind. And that will allow the left stifle to feel more comfortable. It'll take away the pain and tighten up that left stifle as he gets better using the right hind leg. And so I'm just patient with all these different mistakes. He's a great example of what I call physical struggle while he's still very much in the learning frame of mind. All of the heavy corrections and the going slower, speeding up, stopping, all of that is just him telling me what I'm asking him to do is difficult. It's hard for him because I'm tucking specifically into the weakest link in his whole body. So you can see sometimes we even lose steering. He feels itchy, like all of that is just the physical struggle, the beginning, the first day of trying to restore comfort and function to the right hind leg to give the left hind leg more relief and to start to rebuild those hindquarters. Also starting to use his back and hindquarter muscles to stabilize, and all he's been using them for is pushing. So his braking muscles are weak, his stabilizing use of his muscles in his back and hindquarter are weak because he was a jumper, so it was just about going forward and going faster more than it was about controlling or regulating the speed. And he's really struggling. So I'm just about at 10 minutes. I really hope the audio, my new audio little thing worked. The batteries were a little sketchy. And this is like what it looks like to have him use his hocks with that hock arthritis. Now, if he were going to have a pain response, I would not have fussiness. I would have panic. I would have blow up. I would have complete shutdown. So that's what tells me, even though it's difficult for him, it's not painful. It's just really hard. It's unfamiliar. It's challenging. But the calmness, the ears half out, all of that tells me it's not a pain response. It's just very difficult, right? Pain response to me is where he's going to lose the learning frame of mind. He's going to, go into fight or flight nervous system, and he's going to start protecting himself from me more and more. He's not doing that. He's just physically struggling. And that's what I liked about him for you. Because you can't change the body, you can't change the coordination unless the horse feels safe during the process. And you're never sure how any horse is going to react to these changes, right? He gets heavy, he struggles, he loses steering, he stops. Those are not big issues. Those are not big problems. Yeah. So I'm going to give it another minute. You see, now he's starting to think about it. The first 5 minutes are chaos, right? Now he's smoothed out there a little bit. That's what we're looking for, right? Then he stops. No big deal. Right? He's trying, he's trying his guts out. It's just him telling me, this is very difficult for me. I go, I get that. But we kind of got to figure out how to do this if we want to get you sound again, even on a flexion test, and avoid more and more and more injections. Yes, good boy. There, it starts to come together. That's better. And he has to go very slow to use the right hind. It's a little wobbly, it's a little shaky, but every once in a while I get a step or two where he's light in my hand and he smooths out. So for him to find that on day one is a very promising sign. And for him to be so attentive, so quietly focused and calm is what tells me he's feeling relief from the changes, even though making the changes is very difficult for him. Oh, and that's 20 minutes. So I'm going to stop the video, let him rest a second, and then I'm going to continue on for the hour, but I'll spend another day or two doing this and then do another video.